This week, as we mentioned, it was a busy news week. President Biden, we call him Chairman Joe, was in Cambodia as part of the G20 summit. They, of course, were talking about climate. And what was notable is that Biden met with President Xi in China. And as part of that meeting, we were anticipating that Biden might ask some of the hard questions. Where did COVID come from? Why weren't you forthcoming?
Hold on. I'm going to pretend I'm Chairman Xi,
okay,
but I'm not going to do the accent because liberals will write about me.
Yep, and I'll be Chairman
Okay.
Joe.
Okay.
So two chairmans meeting together.
Okay, and you're going to ask me the questions you wanted to ask that Joe should have asked.
Okay. Where did COVID come from?
A bat.
Okay. Did you push it out on the rest of the world?
No.
Did you lie about spreading it?
Never.
Did you have anything to do with all that, or do you have anything to do with all the fentanyl that's coming into our country?
What's fentanyl?
Are you holding Uyghur Muslims in camps?
Never.
Are you committing genocide?
Of course not.
All right, good talk. See, now we're...
That's how it would have gone down.
That's how it would have gone down, but he didn't even bring it up. And really, truly, we laugh a little on a Friday, but this is a serious topic. Now, you want to
see how I would have done it?
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, where did COVID come from?
I don't know. A bat.
What do you mean a bat? You know exactly where it came from. It came from the lab, didn't it?
You gave it a stench. You stinching him. All right, so let's
look at me, Chairman. Look at me when I talk to you.
Let's introduce.
Did it come from a lab? Huh?
Our guest, who maybe
Chairman?
should be sitting.
I'm talking to you, Chairman. What's the problem here? You don't understand
president.
English? Where's the translator? I want to know if this thing came from the lab. Look at me. You killed millions of people across the world, you lousy son of a...
What?
That's how I do it.
That's how you would do it.
Yes.
All right.
You think Joe Biden did it that way?
I don't think he did it that way. And truly, there's a genocide being committed right now against Uyghur Muslims that no one is talking about, not in this country, not around the world. And it is ridiculous, especially in this push. They're using these individuals to work and to create all of this climate industrial complex that they were in Cambodia to discuss. Joining us right now is Prime Minister, and this is such a pleasure to have you here, Prime Minister. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Can I just say something, Jen?
Yes.
So this is a prime minister in exile from Turkestan.
From East Turkestan,
yeah.
right? Prime Minister Salih Hudayar, thank you for being with us on the Morning Answer today.
He's become a friend of mine and my program. He's been on the Newsmax show many times. And Prime Minister, I just want to say, I'm so upset with Joe Biden, all joking aside, that I don't even think he brought up the Uyghur Muslim situation. This is dire. Can you explain to me what's going on to your loved ones over there, your friends over there, your people over there when it comes to China, and what you think about Joe Biden not bringing this up with Xi?
Yes. Since 1949, when China invaded and occupied East Turkestan, it's been waging a brutal campaign of colonization, which has proliferated to genocide under Xi Jinping starting in 2014. It wasn't until 2017 that, the international community began to hear about these massive concentration camps and millions of people being locked up in them. And it was under the Trump administration that the United States government began to speak out against this. It was under the Trump administration that the U.S. Government recognized it as a genocide. And luckily, the Biden administration, when they came in, they reaffirmed that designation. However, not much has been done besides, low-level sanctions, which was done mostly under the Trump administration, and, some condemnation. Nothing substantial has been done. Our people are still being held in these concentration camps where they are subject to torture, rape, sterilization, organ harvesting, and even brutal executions, especially over the past 100 days. Under the guise of zero COVID lockdown, the Chinese government has locked up millions of Uyghurs in their homes. A lot of our people have starved to death. They're also, building these massive so-called quarantine facilities. But if you look at them, they're no different than the concentration camps that already exist. And they're continuing to ship Uyghurs into these places, even though even the World Health Organization states that, you're supposed to only be in quarantine for 14 days, not 100 plus days.
Oh,
so it's continuing, and the U.S. government knows this. The Biden administration knows this very well, and it's very upsetting and disturbing that firstly it's not the right thing to do. It's immoral. It's unbefitting of the leader of the free world to meet with the leader of a genocidal regime while there's an active genocide going on. The only way it would have been acceptable is if he had raised the issue and made it very clear, look, China, we're no longer going to stand silent. We're no longer going to remain idle and allow you to carry out genocide with impunity. You're going to stop now, or there's going to be, heavy costs. That would have been acceptable.
We've seen readouts, and he did not bring this up at all. Joining us right now, Prime Minister Salih Hudayar, who is the Prime Minister of East Turkestan, government in exile, became that in 2019. And it's hard to know if anybody is inside the administration is working on this. Do you know through any of your connections if anybody inside the Biden administration is taking this issue seriously, or are they all ignoring it?
Well, I mean, you have, Secretary Blinken, who's been actively trying to find ways to bring an end to this. You have, the Undersecretary for Democracy and Human Rights and Labor at the State Department, who's active on this, and even the ambassador to the UN, who's been, actively trying to bring the nations together to condemn China. But beyond that, it's not really being done anything. Like, for example, you haven't had President Biden ever make a statement on this, not himself, which is, very sad, and it's unbefitting, of the leader of the free world, especially when he professes to respect and promote human rights and freedom.
Mr. Prime Minister, can we compare this to the last administration? President Trump did talk about Uyghur Muslims, didn't he?
He spoke about it. It was actually Vice President Mike Pence who was the first one to speak about it. Secretary Pompeo, even back then he spoke about it, and even now he continues to constantly speak about it and trying to put pressure. It was Secretary Pompeo who put forward the initial designation.
Well. We appreciate the work you're doing, and we certainly, our hearts go out to your people over there.
Absolutely. It's so important to raise awareness.
This has got to stop. And you think the things that China gets away with, this is literally like Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing going on there, and the world turns a blind eye to it, and it is absolutely
own everything,
wrong.
So no one wants to poke the bear.
And I hope you don't mind, Prime Minister, but I'm just going to say it. The Biden administration is weak on this issue. And I know, Prime Minister, you're in a tough spot because you need to work with them. I think the Biden administration is weak on this. They don't want to confront China on this, and they turn a blind eye to it. Prime Minister, the last word, if you can, in about 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah. Last word is that, this meeting, it ended up like another Munich 2.0. It's like Chamberlain, going to appeasing Hitler, thinking, I'm going to avoid conflict and things will get better, kumbaya. But it's not. In fact, it emboldened Hitler to continue, his aggressive rise, and it's going to do the same thing with the new Hitler, Xi Jinping. Until the U.S., actually starts to push back against China, it's not going to be anything beneficial for the U.S. or for the world.
Mr. Prime Minister,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Always good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That's Prime Minister Salih Hudayar, and again, East Turkestan's government in exile, elected in November of 2019, still trying to raise awareness for his people, which there's a full genocide happening that unfortunately not a lot of the world is paying attention to. You can follow two Twitter accounts, ETExileGov and ETAwakening, for more information. And of course, nationalawakening.org if you want to learn more about this movement to bring world leaders to the table. As we continue, San Francisco